Hello and welcome. You're viewing the Citizens Journalist podcast, Mesa County Compass, that brings you the news that you can use from a different point of view. I'm Ruth.
I'm Lisa.
And together we are Mesa County Compass. Our goal is to create an informed, current, active citizenry armed with the facts. We will be covering what's new to you, what it means to you, what you can do about it, and provide you access to the decision makers when we can. Good afternoon. Welcome to Mesa County Compass. This afternoon we have Joe Grenaldo here. He is running for Congressional District number 3, and we just wanted to ask him a few questions and let you get to know him. So welcome, Joe.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
And I'll start off by saying or asking, what is it that you're all about? Who are you, and why did you get in this race?
Well, I do have this that I'd like to point out. If you will look at the date, this is the first thing you have to file. Mm-hmm. Employee identification number. It's the first thing you need to do to start your campaign.
Oh my. Mm-hmm.
And to me, well, it's exploratory committee for Joe Grenaldo for Congress. Mm-hmm. And what's important here is the date, 7/7 of 2023.
Ah, yes.
Yes, so you can see at that point, had I continued, I was going around asking people. At that point, I was quite confident that if Ms. Boebert were to be our candidate, she would lose this coming November. It took her 6 months before she realized that. Or maybe it gradually dawned on her. But she lost by 546 points. At that point, I was able to get that number from my P.O. box in Fruta, 546, because that's a very important number. That was such a tiny amount, percentage-wise.
Very thin margin.
Yes, she just barely won, and of course, the Democratic candidate, with all the money he had raised and already had raised. Then Ms. Boebert did a few things. She drew too much attention to herself, and this was, of course, before this was in July, before the September fiasco in Denver. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of drama going on in her life, and that was drawing attention to her. These factors is what we were looking at. Of course, I discussed that with my wife and daughter, and I had actually tried to encourage my daughter to challenge Ms. Boebert. No, she would have nothing to do with it. She's not interested in that. She's not interested in what it involves.
Right.
So then we'd been discussing it from right after the election, and then so she said, "Dad, you do it." I think it was about April or March. April. I had my 4-year exam, cancer-free for 4 years.
Oh,
in
wonderful.
April.
Ah,
Yes,
wonderful.
in April.
Celebrate.
Yes, well, it's 5 years is this one upcoming after this. It's like, okay, you're possibly home free.
Right.
So after that, we discussed it, and then she encouraged me to do it. Mm-hmm. So it thinking about it, of course, discussing it with my wife, we decided we'd go ahead and start the exploratory committee. I just wanted to point that out. I believe it was a month later, mid-August, I believe, is when Mr. Hurd initially filed. So had I proceeded at this point, I would have been the first candidate.
Right.
But, well, I waited, and of course she announced in late December, I think it was December 27th, we were on another little vacation at that time. We were out of town, and that's when Ms. Boebert announced that she was changing districts. Mm-hmm. And part of it was out of respect for her.
Nice.
That I chose not to file, and then we discussed it again. When I guess, well, the camera doesn't know, but my wife was sitting over here. that's who I pointed to. And by the way, yes, we were in December when Ms. Boebert announced that. We were in San Diego with son, daughter, and our grandkids celebrating our 50th wedding anniversary.
Oh, very nice.
Congratulations.
Very nice.
So yeah, in the fall, that took some planning. That was the logistics of it. So that kept us busy in the fall.
Right.
So,
Right. So, what's your background in politics, or just your background in
no,
jobs?
it's not in politics.
Good.
We worked our way through college. I worked in construction, and then one of the best jobs I had was at Frito-Lay.
Mm.
I was an hourly, and I worked my way to the highest hourly position, and I was working there full time as we were both going to college. So we paid our way to college.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Government didn't come in and forgive your loans for you?
Well, fortunately, the tuition wasn't quite as ridiculous as it is today.
Mm-hmm.
So we paid our way. We paid our way up front, so we had to be saving our money, setting aside for the following semester.
Exactly.
There were no freebies, even though we were discussing it earlier, my wife and I, about her having a friend that was under the assumption that we got money for college. I don't know where she came to that conclusion, even though they were together in a economics class. It's like, okay, well, we didn't. We paid our way. We worked our way. So it took us a while.
Right.
So,
Right.
Now after that, then I got after graduating Dallas College, the ECO campus. I'm sorry, I went to the ECO campus. It's El Centro. I got to remember. I'm proud of my alma mater. Then I did get accepted to SMU Cox School of Business, where I attended a couple of years. Then the economy at that time, then having a daughter that was born 3 weeks before I started at Cox School of Business.
Wow.
After a couple of years, I did leave school and got a job with a corporate 500 company, where I think I did quite well. So I do have a management background.
Okay.
Then after that, worked very hard to get a promotion and a raise, but that also included a transfer to Berwick, Pennsylvania, and this is from Dallas.
Oh.
Well, I get
What
home.
a switch.
I get home and I am so proud. This is what those 60-hour weeks were all about. She says, we're not moving.
Oh, no. No.
So I did, you don't turn down something like that at the corporate level. So I did, after a month, waited to get that first big paycheck. I did turn in my resignation, and then we opened the business. It's just, it's like, I can't stay here. I turned down a promotion. It won't be offered again.
Right.
So we opened a business. We had several options. We did, we were interested in the restaurant business and a few other things. We actually wound up. We had some friends and some relatives that owned Exxon service stations. So that's the route we took. As a hobby, we opened an Exxon service station. Well, my area was, I'm coming in as management, not as a mechanic.
Right.
Fortunately, I knew some good people that did do good automotive work, and we did that, and that was quite successful.
Good. And the rest is history
Yep.
till this point.
Right. So then what made you, we know when you filed, but what made you decide that I want to be a congressman?
Well, I don't want to say anything bad about Miss Bobert.
Well,
but
you don't have to.
and I'm not going to. It's just that her particular style is different than mine. Like, she does seem to be a very nice lady, but I've seen her videos, and obviously she's proud of these because these are on her own website, of how when she gets people that work for the government, they come in and she is berating them or rude to them. I think these people, they're trying to do a job, is the way I look at it. It may not be quite the way we expect them to do the job, but I guess with my management background, I always felt I could get more productivity from people by encouraging them and having a different style with them.
Catching more bees with honey than water.
That's
Vinegar.
pretty
Whatever.
much it.
Yeah.
Right.
And And then the drama, she's our congresswoman. There was too much drama. And I just believe that I could do the job with a lot less drama.
Very interesting.
But what did you think, aside from her, what made you want to be in Congress? Just not taking her aside.
Yes. The Republicans have held the House and not accomplished anything. They spent the first several months of the year bickering on who was going to be the speaker. And then again, in the fall, they do it all over again. They didn't accomplish anything.
Right.
So kind of like the speaker put himself, McCarthy, in a situation where he could be ousted by anyone at any second for anything.
Right.
And it was too divisive. Congress was too divisive within the Republican Congress itself. There's too many factions. Now, I don't know if I could step in and solve that, but I would hope I wouldn't just be there to raise controversy and to agitate the different factions. That's what I was looking at.
Okay. All righty. Very good. So in that regard, then we'll go on to say, how do you feel about such things as gas and oil?
Gas and oil. That's the American economy, is the way I look at it. So I'm very supportive of gas and oil. And of course, that's us being former Texans and Coloradoans, of course. Those are very important industries to both those states.
And how do you promote that? How would you see your role in Congress for promoting economic interests of, not only Colorado, but really the nation? Because when you're trying to use an energy that really the green energy of one of our candidates came in and said it's really the red energy because so much comes out of China. You have to have your battery parts out of China. You have to have your manufacturing. A lot of that is done out of China, or all of that, and then it's hard to dispose of. So it's really not green, and it doesn't last as well, and it can't replace oil and gas right now. How do you see your role in Congress?
Well, the oil and gas industry is doing an excellent job on their own. Right now, they're promoting themselves pretty good. I believe the last quarter, they exceeded the highest production ever. So at this point, America is energy independent. So they're doing quite well without me. I mean, I'd be willing to obviously support the interest, what's in the best interest of America, but they're doing quite well.
Well, President Biden is really wanting to shut them all off. And that's, I think, the thing that we're all concerned about is the fact that he's wanting to go green energy and solar and wind, excuse me, that kind of thing, and kind of leave gas and oil to the dust, if you will, and just kind of wonder how we need to fit in with that. Do you think there's a common ground, or do you think we need to really get back with more firmly gas and oil, that kind of thing?
I think at this point, it'd be kind of hard to backtrack from gas and oil. I mean, despite what the rhetoric is of trying to go all green. Now, I do support instances where in the future, obviously, it might be necessary. There is a limited supply. Obviously, we keep finding more gas and oil, which is obviously good for America, and especially finding it here instead of having to source it from the Middle East or other places that are unstable, like Venezuela, also a large oil producer. That's what's been one of the problems, is that the producers are not always stable, and of course they have OPEC, which allows them to control the oil.
Right.
So I know we've had administrations in the past that have promoted American energy production, and obviously it has worked because we have gone in that direction.
So what issue is most important to you? Where do you think America needs to be, and how do we get there?
Okay, right now, one of the most important issue is, watch my language, I get upset about it, but fix the damn border. That is the most important. That's priority number one. That's priority number two. Mm-hmm. That's priority number three. Mm-hmm. We have people coming in from 161 different countries. Mm-hmm. I believe there's only 194 countries in the world. Mm-hmm. We've got people.
Those other guys haven't figured out how to get here.
Well, believe me, the cartels in Mexico have figured out how to get them in here and make money, make probably billions of dollars through that human trafficking. I mean, they announced a few weeks ago that they had caught, I forget how many numbers, I think it was in the 60s, Chinese nationals. It just seems like, okay, all these countries, they know you get to Mexico, then they'll find you. They'll get you to the United States. And that's a very important priority. That's like my top three priorities. And it is my belief that it should have been done a couple of weeks ago. I know people are claiming that it was a bad bill, but it was something. And my opinion is, do it now. If our current speaker, Mr. Johnson, didn't like it, then fix that bill to where it'll pass. Don't wait till after the election. Fix it now.
Right.
Fix it now. Instead, they take a 2-week vacation. It's like, gather everybody together. Gather all the Republicans in a room and say, okay, this is the bill that the Senate developed. This is what they're proposing. What are the parts we don't like about it? Let's fix it. And we'll be in here until we fix it. Instead of, well, we don't like the bill, so we're not gonna pass it. Maybe after President Trump gets reelected, we'll do something. Well, here's the issue with that. If he were to get elected and the Republicans were to take Congress, that's more than a year away. Then they're gonna, it's like, let's say the inauguration, January 20th, then they take over. Then they're gonna, there's no reason why they're not gonna spend 2 months trying to decide who the speaker is. Yeah. So they're moving it January, February, March. Right now we're in February.
So it's a year.
They won't even, it's more than a year. And then they'll sit down and write a bill, maybe.
Maybe. Exactly.
Okay, so I don't need that issue to run on. I'll run on my good looks.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
I don't need that issue. Get that problem resolved now instead of 14 months from now. So that and healthcare. I do get advice from my better half on healthcare and healthcare issues. That needs to be fixed. I don't want to, well, these things need to be pointed out. Back in, what was it? I believe it was in August 2019, or was it 2020? President Trump assured us he had a health care bill, and he would have it ready for us in 2 weeks. Well, that time came and went. So there's a couple of bills he has in his back pocket. I want to remind him, you've got the immigration, the border issue solved. You've got that bill somewhere in your back pocket. You've also got there that health care reform bill that you promised us 4 years ago.
Right.
So that's a reminder to, let's get these on the board.
It's true. Healthcare is lacking. We have a lot of things that could be improved with that.
Well, and out here we have a neighbor that has to travel to get the health care she needs. She's got to travel to Steamboat Springs.
Okay.
It's not available locally. And of course, my health care issues, I trusted my doctor. He didn't have the best bedside manner. He was not my wife's favorite doctor, but I trusted him quite well.
Well, as long as he did his job,
And,
it doesn't make any difference what he says.
Well, see, not everybody is in my situation where I can travel to Dallas
Right.
for my
Exactly.
health care. So I have my
That's true.
appointments, and I will go.
Where you need to.
I would go where I need to because I trust him. He did the initial surgery. He'd actually been tracking me for about 10 years,
Wow.
and those biopsy procedures are horrible.
Oh,
You're awake
sure.
through the procedure.
Oh, no.
You're hearing the machine ripping parts of your body.
Oh,
not good. Not good.
Well, okay. so healthcare. Those fix the damn
border and
and
healthcare.
healthcare.
Okay. And how do you think, because you don't have a background in politics, how do you think you'll be able to deal with these people? I hate to say it, you're really nice. And those people are not. A lot of them are sharks. So how do you think you can deal with that? And what do you think are the most important character traits of a representative?
Well, when I got into the Exxon service station business, I knew nothing about that industry. And I learned, and they're set up by geographic regions, and our area included all of North Texas, all of North Texas, Oklahoma, and may have included parts of Arkansas. I had my opinions on how things should go and how the big gas companies should treat us as dealers. And we would have our meetings of the dealer association, and they selected me to be their representative in the dealer association. So obviously they liked what I said, and they thought that I could represent them against some very powerful executives. So I don't know, I think I could be persuasive. In management, I was persuasive. In the business I was in, I was persuasive, and obviously I wasn't trying to get selected for any particular reason. I was just expressing my points of view.
Right.
And the other dealers, and they're all quite independent guys, they're all...
So you think being honest and forthright is your best
I believe
thing to be?
so. I believe so. I am not, obviously, a politician, and I don't want to be a politician. Obviously, you have to play politics,
Right.
but I think I could get in
You
there.
don't want to become one of them.
No, no, and that's one thing. And of course, me and Ada have discussed it. And of course, I would, yes, I do want to be the representative from Colorado's District 3, but I'm willing to point out right now, I would limit myself to 3 terms. I'm glad to say that right now. I don't want to be there forever.
Right.
And if I were to get elected and serve 3 terms, I would be, at that point, younger than both President Trump and Mr. Biden. I would be younger than they are right now. But that would...
You'd be able to walk away and have a good
Right.
conscience.
And-
at that
Yes.
point.
And walk away.
Yes.
Now, what do you think is important for us to know about you that we haven't asked? And how are you campaigning? Did you petition on to the ballot, or are you going to go through caucus?
We're working on petitioning.
Okay.
Okay.
There are too many candidates where, the minimum requirement is 30% of the vote.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
And, well, if we're going to go through the effort of doing it, well, let's get on the ballot first.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about yesterday when we had
Bobby Gross.
and Terry Porter here. We were talking about that there would be only 3 out of 9 candidates that are up. I think there's only 8 now, but I heard another one had declared that they were going to be on as well. So, yeah, petitioning on would probably be the only way to get a fair shake.
Yes. That's just, that happens to be the circumstances we're in.
Yep.
Yep, exactly.
And how are you dealing with getting yourself known? I know that you're here, so that's a good thing for us and you. So how else are you working your campaign to let people know who you are and what you stand for? And
Well, part of it right now is getting the petitions, that is going to door,
yeah.
knocking on doors, getting people to know me. We did establish a website in the fall, which we still need to work on. We'll have a website, and we actually have two. And I believe it's Joe for Congress, so Joe Grenaldo for Congress.
nice.
Okay.
But
Very nice.
So we'll be working on that. That'll have more information. That'll have more of a bio. Family, of course, my wife Ada.
Right. Make everybody work as family. Huh?
Been-
Nobody gets off.
Nobody.
He's the only one elected, but everybody else is participating.
It's a family thing.
Yes, and
Indeed.
And that's nice. That really does help. When you have the support of your family,
Yes,
it
and-
makes a huge difference.
and I did talk to, even last fall, I did talk to my grandchildren and explain to them, it's not trying to ignore you or whatever, and I'm going to spend as much time as I can with you guys, but this is politics. Hopefully I won't act out of character, but that's important that you know who your grandpa is, and that, of course, is very important. My behavior, were I to get elected, is going to be guided by that conscience. I do not want to have my grandchildren ever question my integrity. So that's there. That's part of my
In the back
conscience.
of
Yes.
your mind always.
Yes.
Very good.
Was there anything else you wanted to share about yourself or your campaign or your issues? Because we know your top two, how you're equipping yourself to be a legislator, maybe?
Oh, well, obviously, Mrs. Bobert, apologize there, did provide some inspiration. I did go back and reread the Federalist Papers. Of course, that's the background for our Constitution,
Right.
just to make sure some of the points she brought up, and then, of course, the Bible, I could go through the whole thing, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. I could just, I reread it. It'd been years. This would be my third reading of the Bible from cover to cover, just to make sure it hadn't been changed in the interim. I do not like when politicians
Misquote?
misquote scripture, and I'm not going to go around waving a Bible.
Right.
I know my values and beliefs. My family knows my values and beliefs. I guess this is one thing that Dad, the wisest man I ever knew, well, this is one thing, and he learned to read because it was actually his uncle, we always called him Uncle Pastor, would tell him, quote some scripture to him, and Dad just couldn't believe that was in the Bible. So, he did teach himself to read
Oh, wow.
for that reason, because of the Bible. And then, of course, finally, when he was bedridden, I would read to him. He got this big old Catholic edition of the Spanish Bible, and I would read to him from that. Even though I didn't know how to read Spanish, it's so easy to learn. It's the words are pronounced the way the letters are.
Huh.
Unlike if you teach your kids, teach them teach them A, B, C, D, instead of A, B, C, because then it's going to confuse them. You teach them the alphabets, then when they're 4 or 5 years old, they're ready to learn. The words are not pronounced the way the alphabets are. But
Interesting.
in Spanish, they are.
Ah.
So it was like, just pronounce them the way the words are written. So I did. And
So
it was so easy.
Worked.
Oh, wow, it worked. It's so easy. I didn't know I could read Spanish.
Yeah, well, that's neat.
So, yes. And now, one of the things that, he said, if you see a person out there in the street walking around with a Bible in his hand, Now, this is just the way Dad put it.
Mm-hmm.
Grab your wallet and hide your women.
Oh no.
That's
Yeah.
he just
Yeah.
con men are out there with a Bible.
Mm-hmm. So you
using
just
that.
have a quiet faith.
Yes, I don't need to share it with the whole world.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to walk around showing how pious I am.
Very good.
I know my faith,
Right.
and I would hope my behavior
Demonstrate.
would also, would demonstrate my faith.
Very nice.
Yeah. So one thing that we're seeing with a lot of the people, if they look like they're doing very well, and I'm not sure where it comes from, and Ruth had a good way of putting it. We're seeing candidates, and all of a sudden they're smeared, and you don't know whether what's being said about them is true or not. And she said, I just hate reading gossip. And how do you deal with that? Not only for yourself, if you had people saying things that were not true about you, or not true about other candidates that you thought, oh, I don't know. It seems like more and more that's a goal, instead of beating somebody based on, I have a better idea than you. It's, let me throw some mud at you and see if I can get people to not
See if it'll
trust
stick.
you.
Yeah.
Yes, and we discussed that, and actually, I don't know, Ruth, did I discuss that with you? I don't remember, but
No,
no,
we
it wasn't. It's at one of those meetings. I was talking with somebody, and I said, "Well, I'm anxious to find out what things I have done that I'm not aware of."
I know.
Oh, I do like that.
Yeah. Oh, that's odd. I didn't know I did that.
So, see,
If you get too close, it seems like, to winning, somebody's going to try to smear you and bring you down. And it just is, to me, that seems to be the world of politics. And you're a nice guy. I'd hate to see that happen to you. So, just
Well,
your
that's-
defenses need to be up.
yes, but that's also part of what I've prepared my grandchildren. We have an 18-year-old, a 16, and then my little guy, here in Colorado, he's 8. He's a character. And then we've got our granddaughter. She's in her mid-20s.
Ah, nice.
Nice.
See, because I spend so much time with the boys, I don't want to exclude my Lori Grace.
No, you better not.
but
You're between three women.
Yeah,
Just watch
it's not going to
yourself.
work well.
Yeah.
yes, and that's the good thing about having her. We can always tell her she's our favorite granddaughter.
Yeah.
There you go.
So she gets away with that. The other guys is like they're it's like well, they're all neat kids, and my 18-year-old is kind of like, in a way, he's our baby. Joey, he's just he's an innocent little guy. And so's Anthony. It's amazing how, I don't know how our kids were raised so innocently, and it's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, at some point they're going to be thrown out into the world and
Mm-hmm.
realize what it's really like.
Right.
But we do want to shelter them as long as we can. But I did warn them and prepare them that, your grandpa, you may hear some things about me, but, just ask me. It's politics. You guys, I tried to introduce them. I started to introduce them to politics, and they decided, no, even though Joey's 18, no, it's not necessary. They can
Right.
remain innocent a little bit longer.
Exactly. No need to push them into the real world until it's time.
Well, we appreciate your time. If you don't have anything else for us, you've been listening to Mesa County Compass. These are the facts as we see them, the truth as we know it. You decide.
Okay, and thank you very much for having me here.
You
Thank
sure
you
are
for
welcome.
coming.
Yes.
We do appreciate it.
Yes.